Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Awesome, Nick. How we doing, bud?
Doing really, really good. We got some exciting news to kind of share with y'all, but as you can kind of see behind me already. But first, before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So Rounding Third Baseball Podcast has been approved to be affiliates of Dick's Sporting Goods, Lids, and MLB Shop. So that's really exciting for us, which means that we have links provided on our page, on our social media pages. If you click those links and you buy a product through them, then we get some kickback on that, and it helps support the podcast of what Harrison and I have been really working hard to do. So it's exciting for us.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And what's cool about it is that, we actually had to apply, get approved. They had to review our socials and see our community and the audience that we have. And what's great is that we got approved quickly because we have an amazing community of folks that follow us. Very engaged, lots of views. In the last 30 days, Nick, we've had 1.5 million views.
Yeah.
Just on Facebook of our reels, trivia questions, the podcast itself. We're getting to the point where we're approaching, 1.8 million views a month across all platforms. We're over 10,000, I think, total followers across all the platforms. Like, it's been amazing how this has all come together, and stuff like this is great because, it's these brands and these organizations recognizing the fact that, we've got some really good people that follow us, a good audience. It's a chance for us to benefit from that without having to ask our audience for any sort of money.
Right.
It's a great opportunity for us to get something to help defray the cost of putting together this podcast. It's been a labor of love for 3 years.
Really
and it's just really cool to see it being noticed by bigger and larger groups.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head, man. Like when I first started this podcast with you, I never would have guessed that we would have gotten the traction that we've gotten, and the followers and the amount of baseball that I've learned from the different generations of fans that follow us too has been absolutely incredible. I've loved every second of it, and I learned something new every day. Like one of our trivia questions, a guy posts like his Rogers Hornsby autograph that he's got on his wall, and it's like, man, like what other stuff do people have that like we just have no idea? That's just a big artifact of baseball history, and that stuff's so intriguing to me. I love it. So
yeah, and really, a huge, and I know I speak for you when I say this, but it's a huge thank you to all of you that follow us, listen along, and participate, but also to all the people that have come on the show. Jim Rowe, Delfonso. We've had lots of great people come on the show. Baseball History Dork. We've had other people on social media that have kind of supported us and liked us and promoted our podcast, and it's been really, really wild the last like year, Nick, where it's kind of, for the first couple of years, we just did this for fun. First of all, the fact we made it the first couple of years is impressive alone, but
right.
And then really this last year, it has just blown up. And it's been so much fun because we were doing this for nothing, for free, in our free time because we loved it. And here we are building this amazing community, and it makes it more fun. I get so excited on Monday nights to come on because it's just so much fun. And then streaming during the World Series, people joining us, all the conversation, like this has been such a blast.
Yeah, the whole ride has been amazing, and I'm here for the long haul. So
let's do it.
You're gonna get sick of seeing my face. Hopefully not, but it's pretty cool. So we're actually gonna branch out some more. I'm gonna also mention at the end of the show, but Harris and I are making an appearance on the Benchwarmers Trivia podcast tomorrow night. So we're gonna do a strictly baseball trivia show with them. These guys are sports trivia nuts. If you have
I'm scared of them.
Yeah. If you have not listened to them, give them a listen because their sports knowledge is nuts. And it's college, it's pros, it's Olympics. It's everything.
Yeah.
And these guys are insane. So we might get the floor mopped with us tomorrow, but we're excited for that. And that will air in a couple of weeks. So we'll give you the info and stuff to that. But
yeah, so I just dropped a link in the chat to their podcast website. It's a cool podcast. They are super knowledgeable, good guys. I'm really looking forward to being on it.
Yeah,
Definitely a little bit scared because they're very good at trivia. But
they are.
we'll see. It'll be fun either way. But like these are really cool opportunities that have come to us as we've expanded out, met more people, talked to more people. It's really fun. It's really fun to see where this is going.
So, like Harrison said, thank you. So,
big time.
All right, we're gonna get into the meat of the show here. As we were kind of texting back and forth all week, we're like, well, there's not a lot of news and all that stuff, but there has been kind of sneakily. The All MLB teams were announced. Doug will get to Rookie of the Years in a second, but so All MLB teams here announced. I really don't feel like there's any shockers here. Your first team, you got catcher William Contreras. You got Guerrero, Marte at second, Witt at short, Ramirez at third, Judge, Soto, and Betts in the outfield, Ohtani at DH, and then obviously your two Triple Crown winners on the mound, Sale and Skubal. Scanes, your Rookie of the Year, we'll get to in a minute. Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns, and then your two relief pitchers that led the league in saves with Class A and Helsley. I mean, I don't really see anybody on the second team leapfrogging the first team. I think they got the first team correct.
Yeah, I think they nailed it. I mean, I'm usually one that gets a little picky with these awards because I feel like they usually blow something. But I have no arguments with who they've got here. I mean, who are you gonna take Aaron Judge off the team? Are you gonna take Bobby Witt Jr. off the team? Like, I mean, one that I'm really happy to see is Ketel Marte at second. I just love the fact that he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. But also Vlad Jr. He had a monster season that got completely lost by the fact that the Blue Jays were a mess.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see him make it. Otherwise, I think it was a kind of a formality that these were going to be all the players listed. It's who you thought. And the second team is all the guys that also are kind of who you thought that belong there.
Right. So Salvi, Perez behind the plate, Harper at first, Altuve at second, Lindor at short, Machado third. Outfield is Merrill, Duran, and Teoscar Hernandez. Your DH is Alvarez. Then your staff is Seth Lugo, Dylan Cease, Imanaga, Valdez, and Michael King. And then you got Miller and Kirby Yates in the bullpen there. So, kind of cool to see Jackson Merrill there. Even see Jaron Duran there. I like those picks. I like that second team.
I think it's worth noting that Jackson Merrill is second team All MLB. Skeens is first team All MLB. What's interesting is that in the AL, neither of your Rookie of the Year finalists made the cut on the All MLB team.
Yeah.
Just found that interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's just kind of segue into that. So this just happened. They just announced these at 6:00. Paul Skeens wins Rookie of the Year for the NL, and Luis Gil is your AL Rookie of the Year. First initial thoughts, Harrison Smith. Go.
What? That was my first initial thought when I read it was what? Or actually, I think to say it better, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I was absolutely shocked at the results. Now, I preface that by saying totally deserving guys. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But not at all how I expected that vote to go. I thought for sure this was going to be Jackson Merrill and Colton Cowser, and it wasn't going to be that close. NL, I think we talked about a week ago. That one was going to be close.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Merrill, and it wasn't that close. I still thought Merrill would pull it out. Skeens, fantastic this year. He was fantastic. Gil was fantastic for 3/4 of the year, then had a tough finish to the year. Cowser and Merrill hit all year, played big roles on teams that were in the playoffs. I mean, I can't say that the guys that won weren't deserving, but I did not think either of those guys was going to win this.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you had Merrill winning just the fact that I know people are getting tired of this argument, but he played every day. Skeens is once every 5 or 6 days, whatever.
And he played a big role for a team that took a huge leap forward.
Yeah,
when he got going, that whole team took off.
Yeah, Yeah, his go-ahead and game-tying home runs in the ninth inning all year long was unreal. And for a rookie to come up in the bottom of the ninth inning and to do that is incredible. But I mean, that vote wasn't even close. Paul Skeens got 23 of the 31st place votes. Jackson Merrill 7. So they essentially switched first and second place votes. So Merrill got 23 second place votes. And then in a distant third is Jackson Churio with 26 third place votes. I thought it would have been closer than that for sure. But I mean, like you said, Skeens is deserving for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
fantastic. Lights out.
The dude's nasty. I mean, his stuff's incredible. But this is the first time since I think it's 81 I saw that 2 starting pitchers have won Rookie of the Year. So no position player wins this year. First time in, I can't even do the math, but 81 is a long time ago. 43 years.
43 years.
43 years.
Well,
yeah,
that was,
wild.
and that was my second thought was, wow, 2 pitchers. Like, you never see that.
Yeah.
Because you just haven't. I mean, you've had pitchers win for sure, but you haven't had 2 pitchers win it since 81, which is, it's a long time.
Yeah.
But again, very deserving guys. Luis Hill was great for most of the year. Skeens was great. I mean, his stuff is electric. He might have one of the best arms in all of baseball, but I really thought at the end of the day, the voters would see the value that Cowser and Merrill delivered to teams in the playoffs. And they didn't. And that's, it's okay. I mean, I'm okay with the winners. They weren't my choices, but you know, it is what it is. And, you know, and Doug feels the same way. Like, you know, pitching stats were impressive for Heel. Not a huge fan of him winning, but I'm also not like super upset about it.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting in the AL is that you had Austin Wells finish kind of a distance third. So that's two Yankees in the mix.
Yeah.
For a team that really hasn't had any good young talent coming up until the last couple of years. It's been a while.
Right. Yeah. Luis Hill got 15 of the 31st place votes. Cowser got 13. And then Mason Miller and Cade Smith for the Guardians got a first place vote.
Wow.
So you know where that writer voted from. But
I didn't think anybody actually like voted for anything about the Athletics, but
yeah. Well, I mean, Mason Miller he bursted on the scene and stuff too, but yeah.
Another electric arm.
But yeah, I mean, that race was a lot closer. 106 points total for Heel, 101 for Cowser. So that one was a lot closer. And I would have thought the NL would have been more like that than the AL was, but it's neither here or there. That's why I'm here, and I guess writers get to make the decision.
Yeah, but these are the same guys that screw up the Hall of Fame vote every year, so let's not give them too much credit.
Oh well, we'll get to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
That's coming.
Yeah,
that's an every year head shaker.
Yeah, well, we're not going to have much debate this year. We'll get into it later, but it's more of people that are on the ballot for the first time. So so we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Silver Sluggers were announced also. We've got Guerrero at first base for the AL, Harper. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same list you had for the All MLB teams. Got your Silver Sluggers. That's exactly how it's working out. Yeah.
Which I think makes sense. I mean, you look at the, if you were on the All MLB team, it's because you're the best of your position. You likely hit too. You know, there's nobody on that list that just like got there for glove only.
Santander is on the Silver Slugger list. That wasn't all team.
Oh, you're right. That's right. He was included.
So, and then Profar for the NL was the Silver Slugger, his first win. Brent Rooker was the DH for the AL. So that's his.
Kid had a great season that most people don't even realize happened.
And then I didn't even know a utility Silver Slugger was a thing. That really kind of doesn't make sense to me because utility has to do with defense, but whatever. Josh Smith of the Rangers gets it, and then Mookie Betts, who can play every position, got it for the NL. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the first and second team All MLB teams that got your Silver Sluggers. I mean, it makes sense.
Pretty much, yeah. It's almost exactly just that group again.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's the same guys where one person didn't vote for Griffey in the first 10%. Yep.
Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tragedy that Mariano Rivera was the first unanimous vote and guys like Griffey weren't.
I I still don't understand how writers are determining all of this stuff, but and not by league representatives and players. I still have yet to figure that out. But that's another topic for another day. All right.
Yeah. Well, and real quick, one more thing on the rookie of the year, Nick. I think as a baseball fan, what's really cool is how much incredibly good young talent is in the game right now.
Yeah.
You look at that; those rookie of the year lineups there were deep,
Yeah.
with all guys that had great seasons. There's just so much good young talent in the game right now that we're getting to enjoy that hasn't always been there.
No. No, and we've definitely seen a shift in that. It seems like the last 3 or 4 years where more young guys are coming up and making immediate impacts on their team. I mean, you look at the whole Reds team last year. What was it? 8 out of the 9 starting lineup was rookies there.
Crazy.
All of them were good. They came up and like bursted onto the scene. I mean, Bobby Witt has come up and just not missed a beat. He's been incredible the last few years to watch. I mean, De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz. I mean, you keep going around the league and there's just more and more. Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio, Jackson Holiday, like all the Jacksons.
Jaron Duran, Wilyer Abreu.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good young talent in the game right now.
And I feel like it's just going to get better. I mean, training's better. The kids are playing at high levels early on in their year, which, you know, we can talk about the increase of Tommy John possibly there, but it just seems like there's more high-level baseball going on earlier. So when they get up to the major leagues, the moment's not too big for these kids. Like they're ready to go.
Yeah, they've been playing high-level baseball for so long that it's just they're kind of numb to it.
Yeah, it's just another game.
Well, I used to laugh. Like same thing in football. Like they asked Tom Brady what it's like playing at Foxborough. He's like, I used to play in front of more people at Michigan than I played here. Like this is easy.
Yeah.
When you've been just like used to that level of sport, it doesn't feel any different.
No. Yeah. Absolutely wild. All right, let's get into some hot stove discussion here. So I read an interesting thing about Sasaki, about him possibly not wanting to go to the Dodgers because he'd be in the shadow of Yamamoto and Ohtani. Now, his childhood idol growing up was Yu Darvish. So I'm sure the Padres are sitting there with open arms like, hey, we're on the West Coast. We're close to home. Come here. Come pitch with your idol and do work here. And don't be in the shadow of them. You can actually compete against them. And then they were in the article, they were talking about how that builds like a natural rivalry between Yamamoto and Ohtani and Darvish and Sasaki. And that would really pull on Japan too. So then you got the whole country of Japan, not just rooting for the Dodgers. You almost split them and go Dodgers, Padres there. So it'd be just a kind of interesting take on that. But wherever this kid signed, I think his game's going to translate to the MLB like right away. He's young. I don't think he's going to break down like immediately like Yamamoto did. But I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think we talked about Sasaki the last week, the week before that, and said the same thing. Like he's either going to want to be with his countrymen, or he's not going to want to be in their shadow and want to blaze his own trail. And it sounds like the more we learn about him, the more we're realizing that he doesn't want to, ride the coattails of his countrymen. He actually wants to go and be his own entity and have his own career that is not necessarily impacted by theirs. And I can applaud that, wanting to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, another thing that's kind of come out about him is he's generally kind of a quiet guy, and there's a belief that he's not going to be attracted to a big city. He's going to want to go to a smaller market and live an easier lifestyle than LA or New York or Chicago. He may want to go somewhere smaller and not have to deal with all that. So as we're learning more about him, it seems like the Dodgers are becoming less likely a pick, and this is being reported by multiple sources in many areas. That there's a big belief that's from conversation with him that he's not going to consider the Dodgers. He's going to look elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, the article said that, the teams most likely to sign him, more likely than the Dodgers, I should say, are the Padres, Rays, Mets, and Braves. So, the
Man,
Braves.
imagine that kid in Atlanta. Oh,
Yeah.
that just wouldn't be fair.
No. But, I mean, the Braves are losing Fried.
Morton's retiring too, right?
Is he? I haven't heard. I mean, I would imagine he's 56.
Well, he and Rich Hill are going to pitch forever, I think so.
Yeah. Braves would be an interesting fit. I mean, I would see Cohen bring him into the Mets. Mania declined his offer today, his qualifying offer, so he's officially a free agent. I haven't heard about Severino, but I think he's probably just a free agent at this point.
I don't think so.
So Mets got some holes in their staff, so it wouldn't surprise me if he lands there too. I don't know. Whoever gets him is in for a treat. I think this kid's got electric stuff, and he'll figure it out.
We got a comment on Instagram from Ron Meyer. I hate to say this as a Phillies fan, but he would be a star in New York for either team. Yeah, he would. I mean, he would absolutely be and not only that, but he would be just as marketable as Ohtani on a different coast, which may or may not be of interest to him.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to the Yankees and backs up Garrett Cole. That's that number 2 pitcher that we were looking for, that we were saying that the Yankees were missing. I can't imagine trying to see Cole and Sasaki back to back. Like, no,
you go Cole, Sasaki, then you'd go heel, and then you could push Rodon and Stroman down the rotation until they're both gone because you're stuck with those guys for a while.
Yeah,
Rodon especially.
I don't see the Yankees hanging on to Stroman. I think they cut him if they can't find a deal.
If I'm the Yankees, I'd try to find someone to get rid of Stroman and Rodon and start over because neither one of those guys has been effective.
Yeah. So, all right, what else do we got here? Obviously, Orioles are focused in search of high-end starters. So, I would imagine Corbin Burnes is their 1A free agent here, right?
Have they met with him? I've heard nothing about it.
I haven't heard anything about Corbin Burnes, period. I think it's been quiet because everyone is just sitting back and waiting for this Soto stuff to kind of go away. They're waiting for him to sign, and then it's going to be a flurry. Because think about it. Boris probably owns, 96% of these free agents? Not owns them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that most of them are his clients if we were to sit there and look at the list.
So he's going to try to get Soto out of the way so he can set the market for the rest of his guys. That's not that, we talked about it last week with Ohtani trying to set the bar, but it was such a different bar that the other guys aren't going to live up to that. But these are all his clients. So I don't know. I think everyone's sitting back and waiting for Juan Soto to sign, and then they'll start making moves. Because then teams are going to be like, oh, we missed out on Soto. Like, let's go after Burnes. Let's go after Santander. Then the floodgates are going to open.
Right. Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, the Orioles are trying to balance the fact that, you want to bring Burnes back, but you can't necessarily overpay for him because you got all these young guys that are going to be up for big boy contracts here in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out who am I going to re-sign in that group. You're basically telling Santander, you're out, pal. Like, good luck. Because you've got to worry about how do you re-sign Henderson and Rushman. Those are your 2 headliners. You've got to find a way to keep those guys in town. And the clock is ticking. Every year that rolls by that you don't win, that's another year closer to these guys being able to walk away that you get to. Now, ownership has changed, and you're talking about another guy like Cohen who's got unlimited money. But is he going to spend like that to keep this team intact? I think the belief is yes, he is going to spend. But what is he going to prioritize? Keeping the homegrown kids, keeping Corbin Burnes, who's a hired gun, who's in the farm system coming up. What can we balance there? But I think Corbin Burnes was a great fit for the Orioles. I think everybody would like to keep them, but a couple reports come out today that the Orioles are basically already beginning to make calls on other pitchers, just assuming they won't be able to keep him.
Yeah.
They're preparing to not be in the running for him.
Yeah. But I mean, there are, I wouldn't want to say other pitchers that could replace Corbin Burnes, but they are talking to the White Sox about possibly acquiring Crochet. So there's a lot of teams in talks with the White Sox trying to pull him away. Orioles, as we've talked about for months now, have the farm system to do that.
Well, and what's interesting is that the Chicago White Sox came out the other day and basically said they're looking for a return of mostly position players. They view that as the biggest hole in their farm system. They're looking for a couple of major league ready guys and a couple of high level prospects for Crochet, prioritizing position players over pitchers because they got no depth on the field.
They don't have anything on the field, period. Right. I mean, they got to get something in there, and they need guys that are MLB ready or close, very, very close to it. Like, they got to do something instead of just racking up 39 wins in a season and calling it a day.
Yeah, you got a farm system that's going to produce very little over the next few years. If you can go pick up 2 or 3 high end on the major league field in a year or two guys, you've just plugged a pretty significant hole in what you're going to need going forward.
Man,
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So the Juan Soto visitation, it continues. The Yankees met with him today. He's already met with the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Mets. Sources saying coming out of Boston put together a pretty good presentation about what they want to do with the young talent coming up. And they supposedly, as we say every week, are in on the top free agent pitchers. So I don't know what happens behind closed doors. Maybe the Red Sox was like, hey, we haven't spent the last few years knowing Juan Soto is going to become a free agent this year. This is me being a Boston fan, hoping.
Yeah, being hopeful that there's a plan here.
Right. And I know there isn't, so don't get at me. But maybe it was them seeing down the road, knowing
wishful thinking.
Right. Knowing Juan Soto is going to free agency. And they're like, hey, we're just going to tread water here. And then we're just going to spend like crazy when he's here to build a contender. And Red Sox need starting pitching. You can put Juan Soto anywhere in that lineup. He's obviously going to play every day. Do I see it happening? No. I see Steve Cohen coming in and being like, what's the highest offer? $750 million? All right, I'll pay you $900. Like, I just see him doing something crazy like that. I see him going to the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Mets are an obvious choice for Soto. I think the Yankees are still very much in the running because I think that Soto liked where he was.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is about 20 minutes ago, a bunch of stories came out that the Dodgers are meeting with Juan Soto tomorrow. And that the Dodgers are basically saying last year blew away all of our financial projections in terms of what we've gotten from Ohtani. We have the money to go and buy another player like that. So, I mean, yes, according to the Dodgers, because last year was such a success and the marketing and all that, the Ohtani effect is real. They could afford to sign Juan Soto. Therefore, they are going to meet with him. They are planning to make him an offer.
I just think it is wild. And if he does end up going
and
there.
What's interesting too, Nick, before you say anything, is that all of Soto's meetings have been out in Newport Beach, California, which is a place he spends a lot of time, which is just outside of LA.
Oh, shocker there.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think if Juan Soto signs with the LA Dodgers, and this isn't me trying to hate on the Dodgers or anything.
Oh, but we will.
We will. I think you will lose a lot of casual baseball fans. I do. Like, people will stop watching baseball. People have already said it in like comments on social media and stuff like that. It's like, why do we need to watch baseball when we know the Dodgers are just going to win 140 games? Yeah. Like, you put another MVP type player on that roster that's already got 4, if you're counting Clayton Kershaw.
It would be nuts.
I just I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this the last few weeks. Can the league step in and be like, hey, you can go to any market except for the Dodgers? You can't. You just can't go there.
Yeah, and the league really has no grounds to do it. Now, I will say there's precedent to do it because they did get in the way of A-Rod coming to Boston. At kind of the urging of the Players Association. So it wasn't MLB by themselves stepping in. It was the Players Association kind of saying, you need to fix this.
But that was because of monies. That's because A-Rod was going to take less money to go to Boston.
Yeah, he was going to restructure the contract or defer a bunch of money. I can't remember what he was going to do, but he was going to make it, he was going to change his contract package to allow it. And that's when they stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. So there's precedent for MLB to get involved. That was an interesting situation, but there's really no grounds for MLB to say, no, you can't go there. They can call and ask nicely and say, please don't. But if the Dodgers offer him $800 million over 14 years and he says yes, there's no way, there's no button to push to stop that from happening.
It's absolutely wild.
It's absurd is what it is.
I can't even imagine. I mean, you might as well just get some Joe Schmo to pitch off the streets because they'd have just about as much luck as any other pitching staff would in the NL West. You're not getting through those 5 guys without getting hurt.
No, and it makes baseball less marketable overall. Fans aren't going to want to tune in to see one team keep winning. Owners aren't going to want to stay in the game to just keep running teams out there that are going to get destroyed by them. It takes the playing field and further, completely unlevels it to everybody else. I mean, and even teams like the Mets and Yankees, I'm sure, are going to be like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah,
like these are not poor teams,
right?
Like if you're gonna have 4 MVPs on your roster that are $2 billion plus in total salary, I mean, that's going to be a bad day for MLB, and it's going to be hard to sell that to your owners as this is good for the game.
Yeah, and we've talked about it again for the last few weeks, like the Rockies. They extended Bud Black, but it's like, and we're like, well, why? They're just happy being in last place. But if you're the Rockies, you're like, and you're just hearing this.
What are you going to do?
We're gonna meet with Juan Soto, see if we can sign him. The Rockies are just like, we got nothing. Like, we can't physically or financially do anything.
They'd have to mortgage the organization to afford his contract. Like, it's not possible.
No. There's
even teams with great histories like the Cardinals that are like, we're not in a market that supports that.
No.
I mean, you're literally talking, I think there's about 4 teams that could actually sign him. It's the 2 New Yorks, Boston, LA. Those are the only 4 markets that are big enough to afford him.
Toronto's
less about the market size and more about just desperation.
Okay, fair.
But in terms, and even, I mean, Chicago, maybe, but like the Cubs already have their thing set. And sure don't like one of the White Sox. So
yeah.
And this is an awesome point. There's great talent out there playing great baseball. Do you need to spend on a player like that? And the other comment, the Japanese pitchers don't hold up. We've been saying that for years now. Every time they come over, they get hurt. But
yep.
I have a tough time seeing how you build a team around a guy making $50 million a year. I don't see it.
They got to do something about the deferred money, I think. I don't think, or have a harsher luxury tax penalty. One of the two, or both, because a team shouldn't be able to sign a guy for $70 million a year and not have it hit the cap.
Yeah, I think the easiest solve is you get, if it's a 10-year contract for $700 million, then you get 70 per year. Whether you pay him a nickel this year and all of it deferred, it shouldn't matter. It should all hit the luxury tax this year because you got to make that hurt.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you, Nick. There's the deferred money is a good solution for some of these teams to help them sign bigger contracts and spread out the cost of it. However, what the Dodgers have shown is that they are going to abuse why it was put there
Right.
And Ohtani's contract was basically them thumbing their nose at the rules, saying, "Hey, look, we're going to pay this guy $2 million and defer 68. Ha ha. We're going to get all of our marketing money from Ohtani and use that to fund all these other guys." And for the Dodgers to come out and say the financial projections were beyond their expectations, every owner in baseball should be pissed about that comment.
Yeah.
Pissed.
Yeah, agree. And like if it does help a smaller market sign a higher price guy, maybe it's a percentage that they're allowed to defer.
Yeah, some portion.
Not literally pay the dude less than 1% and then defer the 99% till after he's done playing. Like that's, like you said, that's a slap in the face to everybody else in the league, Yankees included. Like I'll even lump the Yankees in. That's a slap to everybody. I don't know. It's wild. They should never have been able to do that.
Yeah. And I think you're going to see when the next CBA comes up, I do think you're going to see owners that want to deal with the deferred money situation because the Dodgers have made a mockery of that rule and they're within their rights. There's nothing that says they can't do that. But I think that the Ohtani contract was the first time everybody stopped and went, whoa, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, because we're all sitting here, we're like, what's Ohtani gonna get? Is he gonna get 500 million? Is he gonna reach 600? We're like, nah, maybe he's not gonna get 600. And then the Dodgers just blow out of nowhere. News comes through the phone, and we're like, the world stops for a second, and we're just like, 700 million. And then we broke down the contract, and we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's actually getting 20 million with 680 deferred.
Like, what is that?
You gotta be kidding.
That was wild. I was stunned. I can't believe it. But
yeah, I think that was the first time people just went, whoa, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of Japanese pitchers do come over. Even Daisuke had a really good year for the Red Sox when he came over. Then he kind of got hurt, all that stuff. And it's not about baseball anymore. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about how much money can I make. Like, it's not about sports anymore. It really isn't. And that's across the board. That's every sport. It's not about basketball. It's not about football. It's not about baseball. It's about how much money can I make as an owner.
Yeah. Well, and another good point here, like we all came to terms with the fact that guys are going to make 35, 40 million bucks a year. Aaron Judge, 9 years, 360. Mookie Betts, 12 years, 365. Garrett Cole he's still got 4 and 144 left on his deal, but he was over 200 and something million. Like we were okay with that top level talent. The market got completely blown up last year with Ohtani's deal, which really isn't legit. It's really $2 million bucks a year and this massive deferral. But now you've got Soto benchmarking against that, and like, is he going to sign a deal with a boatload of deferred money? Probably not. So what's that going to look like? Like, you can't pay him 70 million bucks a year like you did Ohtani, when you're going to have to pay all of it. So we're not even the problem is we're not even comparing apples to apples anymore. We're comparing apples and oranges. They're not the same. These contracts are very different. It's hard to assess market value when you've got these weird deals in place.
Yeah,
and that's where we are. That's the state of baseball right now. You've got a few teams with a lot of money that are very creative and are finding a way to make even more out of it.
Yeah. I don't see it changing. I mean, who would be the next like big name to come into free agency? I mean, after Soto, who would be the next one? I mean, Tatis is locked up long-term. Bobby Witt's locked up long-term.
I mean, your next wave is probably the Orioles players, Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman.
Yeah.
They're probably your next big wave of guys that are going to sign big deals. But again, Juan Soto is a different group. And I will say, I've softened a little bit on Juan Soto, because I think that what we've seen with Soto is that when it comes to plate discipline, hitting, power, like, he's got all that.
Yes.
Not great defensively. He really can't run. He has an okay arm. So again, he's one of those guys who's only slightly multi-dimensional, but what you're paying for is a guy that can hit. That's what you're getting. He can't run, he can't field, he can't throw. Yeah. Hits for average, hits for power. That's what you're getting.
Yeah, his on-base percentage is off the charts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In a game that's a high strikeout game.
Exactly. Yeah. But he's not a premium defender. He's not gonna run for you. He's very, very average on other fronts. But when it comes with his bat, he's a generational talent. He's the left-handed Manny Ramirez.
Yeah. I mean, I think your point of the Baltimore Orioles being probably in the next wave is like I'm trying to go through my head real quick of like all the young guys. They're all locked up. Julio Rodriguez
Yeah.
locked up. Witt's locked up. Like all those the young guys.
Wander
that would
Franco's
be
locked up twice. Oh wait, sorry, it's inappropriate.
amazing. But seriously, he is.
Moving on.
Yeah. So all the young guys that have come up and been like cornerstone or centerpieces for their organization are already locked. I mean, Bobby Witt's a 14-year deal. So I mean,
He'll be there forever.
and if he does go to free agency, he'll be 38, 39. Be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to retire.
At that point, he's probably retiring.
Yeah. So, I mean, crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they might restructure his contract at some point, but depending on what he has for a career. But
yeah, and I think the only other player I can think of that'll generate this kind of interest, pending his health, will be Scanes.
Yeah.
You know, when he is a free agent in 4 more years, he will generate this kind of interest, as will Gunnar Henderson, as will Jackson Churio. You know, but these are guys that might get locked up early. Probably not Scanes because the Pirates don't do that. But there's a good chance that Jackson Churio never hits free agency. There's a good chance that Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman never hit free agency.
Yeah.
But that is the next wave of big names that are going to get huge contracts.
Yeah. All right. Let's get off the Juan Soto train for a little bit here. And
I will say last thing on Juan Soto. The belief is when he left the meeting with Cohen basically told him to go find his market and come to him last. That is the belief that is the understanding of how that meeting ended. Cohen basically said, you're going to be a Met. Go test your market. Come to us last.
Well, yeah. When you have the biggest stack of monopoly money in your room, if you're Juan Soto, why wouldn't you do that? If that's why you want to sign. So I don't know. Like, does Juan Soto want to win, or does he want the biggest paycheck?
Yeah, it may not matter. But the question is, if you're Juan Soto, if the White Sox offer you 14 years, $1 billion, or the Mets offer you 14 years and $800 million, where are you going? Because that says everything about what you're out for.
You said billion with a B?
Yeah, billion, $1 billion.
I'm going Chicago.
Right, but you're not going to win. You're not going to win for years, maybe ever.
Care. I'm a billionaire.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what's more important to you, Juan Soto? Do you want to win more rings because you got one? Like, you've checked that box. Do you want to win more rings, or do you want to just go get paid?
Well, if you sign there for $1 billion, players are going to come to you.
Yeah, but the White Sox aren't going to have any money left to spend.
Nah, whatever.
That's what Chicago. Moving on. All right. I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah. All right. Reportedly, again, the Red Sox are in on Blake Snell and Max Fried. Trying to get a lefty into that rotation would be nice. So moving on, because the Red Sox won't sign either of them.
I was just going to say the hard part with the Red Sox is that, you know, everybody keeps saying that Juan Soto is like a sneaky option to the Red Sox. Like, the Red Sox are a sneaky team to be in this, and they've got a shot to get him. But like, Juan Soto isn't your problem, Red Sox. You scored a boatload. You were in the top third of the league in runs scored. You can't pitch. Your pitching sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want Juan Soto. I want Corbin Burns. I want Max Fried. I want Blake Snell. Like, I don't want Juan Soto in Boston. Love Juan Soto. But like, you've got the offense. You don't have the pitching.
Yeah. I think their pitch was, if you come here, Burns and Fried and Snell are gonna want to come.
If the Red Sox want to build a super team, sure. But I mean, I don't think John Henry's, I'm not sure he's opened his wallet. I mean, he's going to open that wallet and see moss fly out because it's been so long since he opened it.
Yeah. I mean, at some point they're gonna, right? But you look at the Red Sox track record of not spending. Look at the times they have spent. Carl Crawford, Pablo Sandoval. Do you want me to keep going?
No, they've had some bad ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've had some
David
really
Price.
Bad
I mean, they've signed some big contracts that were. I mean, David Price was a $30 million a year guy, right?
But he did get you in 18. He pitched very, very well in the World Series.
He got you a World Series. That's all you got out of that deal. Chris Sale, you signed into a big deal and the dude never pitched. I mean, the track record's not good, but it doesn't mean you stop trying. Like, you got to keep going.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, Red Sox definitely need pitching for sure. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt. No argument there.
Willie Adames is an interesting one. So they're calling this a robust market for him. That's what it says on MLB.com. So I've heard some interesting things.
He's
Like,
pretty good last time I checked.
yeah, he's all right. So he's free agent shortstop, but there's a lot of teams talking to him about, hey, possibly moving to third or somewhere else other than short. Like, we got a shortstop. Could you play third? So his market's weird. And as much as we both said that it was almost like a shoe-in that he would go to the Giants,
it seemed like that was the match made in heaven.
Yeah, I don't know where he goes now. I mean, this story kind of
every day it changes. I mean, right now he's a favorite to land at third base with the Astros. He's a favorite to end up playing shortstop for the Red Sox, and Trevor Story moves to second. The Braves are apparently in on him. They'd let Arcia go.
Which he was an all-star last year. It's crazy.
I know. The Blue Jays are like the Red Sox. They're in on everybody. Who they'll actually sign, we'll see. But the Astros apparently have basically told Adames, like, if Bregman goes elsewhere, we want you to be our third baseman. We'll pay you, but we want you to be our third baseman.
Yeah.
Every day somebody else jumps in and goes, hey, we're in on Adames. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Where did all these teams come from?
Yeah. And then sticking with kind of that trend, Alex Bregman is rumored to kind of go to Philly. They're thinking he might be the best fit for the Phillies there, and Alec Boehm on the trade block. So
yeah, we had a comment on Instagram from Ron Meyer again, talking about they're trying to package Boehm up to make room for Bregman.
Yeah.
I mean, Bregman would be great in Houston. Not in Houston, in Philadelphia, because he'd be a nice compliment to the group they've already got there.
Yeah.
And Boehm is a good get for somebody else, assuming that he's not got problems like they want you to believe.
Yeah. So apparently the reason he wasn't playing in the playoffs was some off the field issues or something like that.
Yeah. Clubhouse stuff and off the field stuff.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's sitting at gambling tables till 8 o'clock in the morning too. I don't know.
Maybe. But I mean, I never really gave Philly a thought when we did our free agent show a couple weeks ago, because they had Boehm there, and I didn't know.
They were set. You got Stott, Turner, Boehm, Harper. Like, your infield's done.
Yeah. Could you go after a first baseman and move Harper back to the outfield, and then that takes Brandon Marsh maybe out of the equation out there? Or your rotating center field spot?
I think Harper's a first baseman now. I think that what you saw from him was he had a kind of a decline in his range in the outfield. He's never been a great outfielder. He was always good enough.
Yeah.
His arm apparently is not where it was after the surgery. Doesn't have the same kind of whip to it. And there may be some level of just like mentally not being comfortable letting it go. I think he's a first baseman now. I don't think you'll see him in the outfield again.
Yeah.
And
he's serviceable over there. He's good.
He's actually become a very good first baseman, and it's a good way to protect him physically, rather than him running into walls and diving across the grass. Like, put him in the infield. He's got good feet. He doesn't have to he doesn't be crazy fast, have a great arm. He just has to play the position, and then you can just let him hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he probably ends up as a DH, more than anything longer term.
Yeah. Braves are in on Walker Buehler. So, I mean,
Braves are in on a lot of people right now. Adames, Walker Buehler, they're Sasaki. I mean, I think the Braves are a little bit upset that this year went the way it went, and they're not going to go quietly this offseason.
Yeah. For the Braves to end up where they ended up, having all the injuries they did was a miracle. And
oh my goodness, yes.
Snicker should get some manager of the year consideration because of all the injuries he dealt with, for sure. But that rotation was definitely, you're going to get Strider back, hopefully. And then if Sale is even a fraction as good as he was this year, obviously. And then if you can add Buehler or someone else.
With Sale, it's all about health. If he's healthy, he'll be nasty.
Yeah.
But he's got to be healthy.
Great. Yeah. They could really bolster that rotation if they could get Buehler or another one of these big free agent pitchers in there. It'd be scary.
Every Braves fan was looking forward to seeing those Spencer Strider, Chris Sale 1-2 punch. And you didn't get to see it. But when you finally get to see that for a length of time, that's going to be a downright scary 1-2. Yeah. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. Have you heard if Christian Walker has accepted his qualifying offer?
Last I knew, it was a no.
So he declined it. So I don't know. I couldn't find it anywhere. Because
Is
I
the
think
deadline for that
he's
today, or is it?
yeah, it's today, I believe. Or it's tomorrow. It's today or tomorrow. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
there's no mention of if he has or hasn't accepted it yet.
Because to me, I think he's one of those borderline guys that received a qualifying offer. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. If he
he
came
could
back for
either
21 million bucks, you wouldn't be upset about it. If he left, you also wouldn't be upset about it.
right, and you're not sure if he would get 21 million on the open market, being his age.
Yeah, everything I've seen, they've got him kind of pegged to get like a 3-year, $66 million deal, which tells me he's going to get something in the 21, $22 million
21,
range. So it's a fair, 21's a fair market value for him.
Yeah.
But he's going to want a longer commitment than 1 year.
Oh, well,
Because this is probably the last contract he signs.
Yeah.
Whatever he gets this offseason.
1,000%.
And last I heard, it was still very much the Yankees. The Yankees are heavy in on him. The Orioles are talking to him as well. And the Mets are kind of out there, but they've not approached him. But it's been all about the Yankees. 3 years, $66 million, replace Rizzo, put some stability there. I mean, it seems like it's the Yankees they're the definite favorite.
Yeah. Another name that has popped up in trade rumors, Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, the Cardinals are an interesting spot right now. They've got some young players that have done well, some young players that didn't really pan out. Goldschmidt's gone. Arenado's not been his true self the last couple of years. And I think the Cardinals are at a spot right now where you either go big this offseason and sign a couple of big ticket free agents and start and try to add some pieces, or you go more of the let's tear it down and start over. And I don't know what direction they're going to go, but you've got Contreras, who you're not in love with. Goldschmidt's gone. Arenado, super valuable guy, but he's probably going to be a first baseman in the near future. You don't have a lot there. Like, you already let Edman go, who is your super utility guy. Mason Wynn is really the headliner there.
Yeah.
I mean, who else do you have that makes you go like, wow? Like Burleson's a piece, Nootbaar's a piece. Like, but you don't have this great core anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, I think they were hoping when Jordan Walker came up and had that like 13-game hit streak to start his career, and then he took a tailspin and a nosedive and all those cliches, real bad, sent him back to the minors, and then that's when Wynn came up eventually, put another spark in there a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Cardinals do there. That's why I think the Sonny Gray going there was such an interesting signing last offseason for us. We're like, okay, like,
yeah,
why
didn't expect them to make that kind of a move? And I think in their defense, you looked at it, and this is the same thing the Rays just went through this past season. Like, the window closed on you, and you didn't realize it until it was too late. Yeah. Like, you had Nootbaar and Walker and Gorman and Wynn, and you had this talented group that was all coming up together, and you're like, oh man, like, we're gonna have these guys all over the field. We're gonna be so good for so long. And Nootbaar has proven to be good. Walker was a disaster. Sorry, Tyler O'Neill too. Tyler O'Neill you dealt because you couldn't get along with him. Mason Wynn's a stud, but he's only been there a year. Gorman's a good ball player. Like, you've got you were banking on these 5 guys being the future, and only one of them has really worked out.
Yeah, I agree.
And now you're in a spot where you've got a lineup full of guys that are all just okay.
Yeah.
And your studs in Goldschmidt, who's gone, who fell off bad, and Arenado, who's falling off, aren't going to get you there. So you've got to make a decision this offseason. You either go sign a Pete Alonso and a pitcher and make a big statement, or you dump a couple of pieces and start over.
Yeah. Another team that keeps kind of popping up, interestingly enough, are the Washington Nationals.
I've heard them rumored on a lot of people, which I didn't think they were in on anything.
I didn't know that they were financially ready to do that, because, I mean, we all kind of know the mess that they went through in 19 to kind of go for broke. And, I mean, they won, but
they went bankrupt 2 years ago.
Right. And then who knows what with CJ Abrams and all that, talk about casino till 8 a.m. in the morning. if you're trying to build around him. I mean, they do have some nice young kids there, but it seems like they're in on Santander. They're in on some big names that were just like, all right, that's interesting. I didn't know the Nationals were ready to do that.
Yeah, so I think the Nationals are done with Scherzer and Corbin, which are big salary numbers that fall off. You got to close out the Strasburg issue. And then I think they're free of all that money that was like weighing them down. But that alone frees up like $40 million a season when you kind of get through your issues with Corbin and Scherzer. Then you've got Strasburg on top of that. It's like there's like 50 or 60 million bucks a year at play here when you kind of clear all these hurdles. That goes a long way to filling some of their holes. But again, like you go get Santander and say you get Fried, like you're not in contention in the NL East yet. Like you're not that far away, but you're also not that close where one or two players like put you over the hump. Like you've still got a ways to go.
Right. Yeah. You leapfrog the Marlins. That's not saying much.
Exactly. And now you're fighting for third place, but like you already were. Sort of. Like it. I don't know. I feel like they're close, but they're not that close where just a couple guys changes a lot of things. Like they need another year or two of developing these young players to then be serious about bringing a couple of veterans in to put them over the hump.
Agree.
But they're in on everybody, including Soto. They want to talk to Soto. I don't know why.
See him coming back to Washington.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Do you have any other hot stove stuff before we get into some other things here?
No, right now it's just a lot of rumors, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, but there's not really any true action.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for the Soto shoe to drop. As soon as that drops, then we're going to be on here almost every night being like signed. Like,
yeah. I will say, the Angels made a couple moves with, Soler and then signing d'Arnaud. I think the Angels are very quietly trying to grab some of these second tier pieces to try to be more serious about their future. I will say that the Angels just signed a new TV deal with Diamond Sports, who we've been railing on for the last couple of weeks. They just signed a new TV deal. It's going to give them greater territory, more rights, more money. So I think they're expected to do something, but again, they're not like a player away. If Trout's healthy, if Trout's healthy, that's a totally different team. But if Trout's going to play half the season like typical, adding Soler and d'Arnaud doesn't make much of a difference if he's not there. But if you've got Trout in that lineup, Soler around him, d'Arnaud, O'Hoppe's healthy, like you run down that list of young players. Neto, Moniak, Walsh, like you run down that list of young players. Like if those guys are all healthy, that's actually a decent lineup.
Yeah.
But without the cornerstone, Trout being healthy, none of it matters.
Well, they lost Sandoval last year to Tommy John. That's a big hit.
Yeah,
they did sign,
and he's not due back till like mid-season, right?
Probably not. I mean, what Tommy Johns are?
Yeah, you're at least a year. You're 12 to 14 months.
Yeah. And they signed Kyle Hendricks. I mean, a guy that tops out at 87.
But he gets outs. I mean,
he does.
He's got a 4+ ERA. Like he's not going to like light the world on fire. But Tyler Anderson's been good. If you do get Patrick Sandoval back sometime next year, Kyle Hendricks is still serviceable. He'll get outs. I think they're trending the right direction. A new TV contract may help. Artie Moreno thinks that they've got money to spend. He said that before, and then didn't even make Ohtani an offer in free agency. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect, but there's definitely movement out there. MLB's got to find a way to get these other teams like participating. Like, how do you get the Marlins and the Angels and the Rockies like engaged and doing more?
I think it goes to the competitive balance, and it's like, hey, like we're so far behind the 8 ball right now that like, even if, like you said, for the Nationals, even if I bring 2 top tier free agents onto my organization, I'm paying all that money for third place and not even a wild card spot. Like, then why am I going to do it? There's no point. No,
there's not. And it makes it challenging when you've got such a disparity between, like, you look at like, Minnesota Twins right on the edge, not a big market. They can't spend more money than they're spending now. The White Sox, forget about it. Angels finishing dead last in the West. for a lot of reasons, but they've got some money to spend. Like the Nationals are finished 20 games under 500 and 18 games out. Mid-season, they were like hovering around, like fighting for playoffs. Like we talked about that for like almost a month. They were hanging around, and then they completely fell off. Reds and Pirates are in a rebuild. The Cardinals are trying to figure out who they are. The Giants are in the same boat trying to figure who they are. The Rockies are the Rockies. Like you've got this bigger pool of just like teams that are existing. You got this other pool of teams that are like constantly in transition, trying to get to the next level, and you've got the group at the top that is consistently there and battling with each other year after year.
I would say the Giants are kind of in a class of their own because they're like, hey, we want to spend, but nobody wants to come here.
Well, yeah, they've had a weird couple of years where they've made some really aggressive offers and they've not gotten anybody. I mean, and the Correa thing was health. Like they had him locked up. That was done. They do the physical and they're like, oh, geez, there's some problems. And he's like, well, I'm out.
Yep.
And here we are.
But it shows to have been the right choice.
Because he's continued to miss chunks of time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Farhan Zahidi was, and we've talked about this in the past, good at, baseball or operations, being really kind of the both lanes the GM runs down. Zahidi was good on the upside. He knew where not to waste his money, and he maximized what he got out of that team. And they saw Correa for what it was. He was a big risk, and that's not their profile.
Right.
As big a market as San Francisco appears to be, it's not. And they don't have the money like the Dodgers do to just throw around and waste on a guy.
Right.
The Dodgers had how many guys on IL last year for most of the season? Not every team can afford to put a contender out there while they've got all that payroll sitting on IL.
Right. Your entire starting rotation on the IL.
Yeah, you were paying Kershaw what, $10 million bucks last year, and he pitched 30 innings for you.
Yeah.
Not every team has that luxury.
Yeah. Wild.
You got to hit on who the people you sign.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take a break from Hot Stove. We got a couple other things to kind of talk about here real quick, and then we'll get into some trivia to end the show here. So
I feel like for all the stuff that didn't happen, there's still a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, right. I mean, it always seems to go like that, like on our shows. But all right, $55.7 million to repair Tropicana Field after the roof the tent got ripped off that place. The Rays found their home at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, which is pretty much right across the bridge from where they were, right? It's pretty close.
Yeah, so you're in Tampa off the Dale Mabry Highway. You're actually in, which is good for the Rays. They're going to be actually in Tampa this year, not in St. Pete across the bridge. They're going to be over the bridge and down and just off the edge of downtown, because Steinbrenner Field sits just down the street from Raymond James Stadium. That's where all the sports activity happens in Tampa. Except the Lightning actually play like right downtown. Yeah. But it's going to be a good spot for them. It's going to put the Rays actually in Tampa for the year, which I think is going to help them. I think they're going to actually draw better. And I think that's what the Rays are going to learn here. They're building this beautiful ballpark in St. Pete. They're going to go to Tampa and actually see that fans come out.
Right. Yeah, because it's easier accessible.
People underestimate that trip to St. Pete over that bridge. It is a nightmare. Yeah. I used to spend at least 1 week a month in Tampa for work. And I went to a couple Rays games when I was down there, and it's a nightmare to get from Tampa to St. Pete at 5:00 on a Tuesday. It sucks. Yeah. The traffic is horrendous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrendous coming off of 84 or whatever road you go. Being in Tampa, I think, is going to make a difference.
Yeah. And why would you want to sit in 5 hours of traffic to go watch that team play? If you're not going to watch the Red Sox or Yankees or Orioles or whoever your team is that are playing the Rays, you're not.
And that's the cool thing down there is that you get as many fans going to see the away team as to see the home team. Like
yeah, right.
that, the Rays should draw better than they do, because Tampa is full of transplants from all over the country.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't draw, I think, is because they sit in St. Pete and it's not easy to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston's not easy to get to either, and they sell out every night. But it's different because it's the Red Sox and they've been there for 100-something years. And like, you're going to the Red Sox, you get tickets, you go.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right. The Orioles are to move the left field wall again. So they're like, oh crap. I think we moved it back a little too far. We raised it a little too high. Let's move it back in and shorten the wall again.
Yeah, they're gonna move the wall back in like 9 feet. They're gonna drop it from 13 feet to 8 feet. So basically, if you recall, they moved the wall back because left field in Camden Yards there's balls travel out of there like crazy. They pushed it back to eliminate some of the cheap home runs that they felt were happening, and they eliminated a lot of the power to left field.
Yeah.
So now they're going to basically undo half of what they did to bring it back in to 9 feet back versus 20, or 11 feet back versus 20 by bringing it back in 9 feet. Almost exactly halfway. They're going to drop the wall height from 13 feet to 8 feet. It should help these young hitters who have been bouncing balls off the wall or getting balls caught at the warning track. But they definitely overshot what they were looking for when they pushed the wall back.
Yeah. Trying to prevent the opposing team from hitting bombs off them, but
yeah,
they hurt themselves.
Well, and that left field is quirky as hell. Like, it turns the corner, the wall goes up, and then you stop at the bullpen, the wall juts back in and cuts over. Like,
yeah,
it's a weird left field to play now because you got that weird little corner where the wall juts back in around the bullpen. And I mean, left fielders hate it because it's just weird to play it.
Right. Yeah. I want all these outfield fences to just have zigzags all the way across, like weird corners. Like, I mean, why not?
I mean, it's part of what gives Fenway its charm is the weird little triangles. Like when the monster meets the center field bleachers, you get that weird little jut out. The triangle where the bullpen meets the wall, the weird rounded right field corner. Like,
yeah,
that gives Fenway some of its charm. But when you look at where Fenway sits, it was built that way because it had to be based on where it had to fit.
Right.
Camden Yards, you built a normal ballpark and then screwed with it to try to change how things were happening. And now you're going to get this Frankenstein of a ballpark.
Yeah. All right. The last thing I have before trivia.
Oof.
The first time Hall of Fame ballot. So these are players that are appearing on the Hall of Fame ballot for the first time. Here we go. I'm going to read the name. You tell me right off the top of your head if they're in or not.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Carlos Gonzalez.
No.
Curtis Granderson.
No.
Felix Hernandez.
He's the most borderline guy I can think of. I'm gonna say yes.
Adam Jones.
Nope.
Ian Kinsler.
Nope.
Russell Martin.
Nope.
Brian McCann.
Nope.
Hanley Ramirez.
Nope.
Fernando Rodney.
Nope.
CC Sabathia.
Probably yes.
Troy Tulowitzki.
Nope.
He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, but
I know. Then he fell off
quick.
hard.
Yeah.
The injuries really ate up the end of his career.
Yep. Ben Zobrist.
No. Sorry,
didn't
mean to say that so aggressively.
That's fine. This is a no-brainer. Ichiro Suzuki.
Absolutely.
See, I'm a no on that one.
On Ichiro?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Well, it's great seeing you guys this week. We're going to end the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Over 4,000 career hits.
Ichiro's Ichiro. He won't be unanimous, but he should be pretty damn close.
This one I save for last because he is a Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia.
No, but that one hurts my heart because he would have been if Manny Machado wasn't a dirty bastard.
Yeah, I agree.
The laser show was. He was going to be a all Hall of Famer until he got spiked and never came back from it.
Yeah, kills me. But
it really does. It breaks my heart because I loved everything about that guy. The dude was like 5'0", scrappy as hell, and didn't take crap from anybody. And he was so good. He was so tough. He was so like clutch for that team. And that Manny Machado slide just completely derailed his career.
Yeah. So for me on that list, it's King Felix, CC Sabathia, and Ichiro. I think
we picked the same three. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're in. The other ones are.
And a lot of those guys like Ben Zobrist and Ian Kinsler, like they had good careers, but those are not Hall of Famers. Like
Curtis Granderson, right?
Yeah, Curtis Granderson. Like I loved the Grandy Man as they used to call him in New York. Yeah. I like good players, but like they're not Hall of Famers. Like I appreciate the fact that they're on the ballot. Like I know why we do that.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not Hall of Famers. They're just not.
Yeah.
They were if there was a hall of very good, they'd belong in it. But this is the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I think there's three guys there. The question becomes who from last year gets in, or who that's been on the ballot gets in. And I think that the only guy out there, I think, is Billy Wagner, who's been sitting out there for far too long. This is his last year on the ballot, and I really hope Andrew Jones gets the consideration he deserves.
And the The fact that Andrew Jones is not in the Hall of Fame is an absolute travesty. I have gone through this. I know a couple people have been against me, but he's got 10 Gold Gloves, over 400 home runs. Sorry, and people are like, "Oh, well, his average is so low." Yeah, but it's not the lowest average that's in the Hall of Fame right now. There's guys with a lower career batting average than Andrew Jones in the Hall.
Yeah.
So don't give me that.
All right, so let me turn the tide on you, Nick. So here's the guys that return to the Hall of Fame ballot. I'll list off the names. You tell me if they get in. Bobby Abreu,
No.
Carlos Beltran,
No, because of the scandals.
yep, Mark Burley,
I think should, but no.
Torrey Hunter,
No.
Andrew Jones,
Yes. 1,000% yes.
Andy Pettitte.
He's on PED list, isn't he?
He is. He used HGH, got busted for it, and admitted to it.
Yeah. So no.
Manny Ramirez.
No. Should
A-Rod.
be again.
Yeah. A-Rod.
Should be. No.
Yeah. Francisco Rodriguez.
No. Didn't do it long enough.
Yeah. Jimmy Rollins.
He's an interesting one.
He is. He's a tough one. He's like right on the fence for me.
How many more years does he have left? Does it say?
He's got a few. He's only been on the ballot a few years, I think.
I think he should. He was the top tier shortstop for a few years there. He was pretty dominant in his era.
Yep.
He's got an MVP in there. Oh God, that's hard.
It is.
I'll say yes.
All right.
Just
Chase Utley.
Another freaking borderline Philly.
I know he and J Roll are like the same to me.
Maybe.
Wow. Middleman Dan here.
I'll say no.
All right.
If I have to think about it, it's a no.
Yeah, and I think Utley was not like universally loved, and I think that's part of his problem.
Yeah.
Omar Vizquel.
Yes, defense alone, he should be in.
Agreed. Billy Wagner.
Yeah. He's what, 400 saves?
Yeah, 400 plus saves.
Yeah, he should be in.
And the last one's David Wright.
A guy that got robbed for injury.
I put David Wright in the same category as like Dustin Pedroia. On that trajectory, got robbed because of health.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Won't make it because of that, but would have otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've talked about the Hall of Fame for a while, and it's hard now to decide because it is the Hall of Very Good. It's no longer the Hall of Fame. So now it's like, are you asking me, do I think they should be in, or do I think they're going to get in? Because it's completely different things.
Right. Like, what I think and what actually happens are not necessarily the same thing anymore.
Right. Because I'm thinking Chase Utley's borderline, Jimmy Rollins is borderline. But if it was the Hall of Fame, I would say no to both of them. Like, I don't think they're not Hank Aaron. They're not Yogi Berra. They're not Sandy Koufax. They're not Willie Mays. They're not Ken Griffey Jr. They're not, hell,
Barry Bonds isn't even in the Hall of Fame. So what does that tell you?
It's crazy.
I mean, you got Manny Ramirez, one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time, and Alex Rodriguez on the ballot, and we're both like, nope, they won't get in. Like that's where we're at with the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
But Bud Selig, who oversaw the whole thing, is sitting in the Hall of Fame, smiling at us. So we got plenty of offseason for Hall of Fame talk. Because it kills me.
Wild. All right. So
I think based on what we just said, in reality, we're probably talking 3 to 5 guys get in this year, max.
Yeah, you're gonna have a couple veteran committee guys. You're gonna have some executives probably get in, or Negro League guys. That's usually what happens. Like the veterans committees comes across, and then
that's a great point. McCann is a 7-time All-Star, has a World Series ring. I quickly dismissed him, but you're right. He probably should get more consideration than I gave him.
I just for me,
dude, I was such a big Paul Konerko fan. He and Carlos Quentin
loved him.
In the middle of that lineup. Oh man,
that whole 05 White
so good
Sox
for so long.
Yeah, Maglio Ordonez too was in there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. The Hall of Fame is so hard for me now because it's we've
become challenging.
We've talked about it. It's like You have the guy that has the most career hits ever, and the guy that has the most career home runs ever, the guy that has the most Cy Young awards ever, not in your Hall of Fame.
When you say it that way, Nick, it sounds insane.
No, I mean,
It's true.
what?
It's true though. You've literally got, I would say then you throw Manny and A-Rod in there. You've probably got 5 of your 50 best players in baseball history that you're keeping out of the Hall of Fame. Like they're all top 100, top 50 players.
You could, argue even almost top 10, top 20.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's top 30. Maybe they're all in the top 30. I don't know, but it is mind-boggling to think that you've got all-time hits leader, home run leader, Cy Young leader, and then a couple of guys that hit 500 plus home runs and are carrying a bunch of hardware with them that also aren't in.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It's just See, like Brian McCann, I mean, like he has those stats, but the Hall of Fame to me is like, if you say Willie Mays, my mind immediately goes Hall of Famer. You say Roberto Clemente, boom, Hall of Famer. Ken Griffey Jr., Hall of Famer. Cal Ripken Jr., Hall of Famer, etc.
Yep.
Brian McCann,
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, but pretty good gets you in now. So I don't know.
Brian McCann was never even the best player on his own team.
Right.
I mean, but to the point of the comment, 7-time All-Star with a World Series ring. Yeah,
for sure.
He's going to get some consideration, and he should get consideration. But he's a Hall of Famer. I still say no. But I dismissed him quickly because in my mind, he was a good ball player.
Right.
But not a Hall of Famer. But I feel like the definition of Hall of Fame, I feel like the line for Hall of Fame is very gray all of a sudden, and it's hard to tell. It's hard to say like when somebody crosses it and gets in.
Yeah, it's such a different term.
Daryl Porter made it. I mean, you're making our point. It's so wildly inconsistent. And yes, R.I.P. Pete. It's a tragedy that man has passed on and did not see his induction. It's going to happen. You can't have the all-time hits king never make the Hall of Fame. So it's going to happen. What's sad is it's now going to happen posthumously because MLB just refused to give in.
Well, the lifetime ban is over. As morbid as
life is over, yeah.
To say, lifetime ban is over.
So Pete Rose isn't banned anymore. Look at that. The poor guy just had to die to get out of it.
Absolutely ridiculous. So, all right. Are you ready for some trivia, Harrison?
Yeah, let's do it.
We are back to the common last name trivia.
Yes, so I loved these. Were so fun.
I tried to make the clues a little bit more broader, so hopefully you can still get them. Commenters can definitely help in the chat, please.
Yeah. Help me out, please.
All right. First one. Gold Glove right fielder.
Oh, crap.
Former Home Run Derby winner. Former MVP.
Oh, man. These are super generic. All right. Home Run Derby.
Yeah, not all of them are this super generic, but
I was gonna say, wow, this could be like a lot of different people. Let's see, former Home Run Derby winner. Like, we going way back in Home Run Derby, or are we like not that far back?
Not way back.
So wouldn't be Griffey, wouldn't be John. Oh God, these are brutal. I'm with you, man. All right, Gold Glove right fielder, former Home Run Derby winner, former MVP. All right. So not Harper, not Fielder. Guerrero?
No. Good guess. 2020 was the MVP. 2024 was the Gold Glove right fielder.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. I threw Guerrero out there. 2020 was the MVP.
And 2024 was the Gold Glove right fielder. Nope, not Frazier.
Frazier's a good one.
That was a good guess.
I feel like the MVP should jump out at me.
The Home Run Derby winner also set the record at the time for most home runs in a round.
Oh, okay, so not Alonso, not Harper, not Griffey.
It was back when it was 10 outs.
Yep. Not McGuire. Who the hell had that record? Wasn't it Abreu?
It was Abreu.
Was it Abreu?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Willier
Okay.
won. Yeah, Willier won the Gold Glove for the Red Sox this year.
Jose 2020 MVP. I should have known that.
Yeah, Jose Abreu 2020. Do you know who the NL MVP was that year?
Oh, geez, I don't. It was Jose
2020.
Abreu. I remember that Luke Voigt led the league in home runs.
Yeah.
Who the hell was the MVP that year? I honestly don't remember.
It was your World Series MVP from this year, Freddie Freeman.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. 2020 is such a weird year. I've blocked it like anything that happened in that year baseball wise. It's so hard to recall.
I don't actually think I watched much baseball in 2020 because it was just so weird.
It was weird.
Empty ballparks, cardboard cutouts. Like it was. I couldn't.
Teddy,
I couldn't do it.
Teddy bears getting screamers to the head. Yeah, it was brutal to watch.
2020 is like the year, the forgotten year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here is the next one. Most passed balls in 2024, a ballpark food, strikeout machine in Pittsburgh. Dusty Baker coined this player's nickname as Grande.
All right, so this is Alvarez. It's Francisco Alvarez, Pedro Alvarez. Grande.
I mean, come on. He's like the biggest dude on the field right now.
Oh, Yordan Alvarez.
Yordan,
He's a monster. Ballpark food.
Yeah, he just came up for the Braves this year.
What? Okay, you got to give me that one. I have no idea.
It's Nacho.
Oh,
Nacho Alvarez.
Nacho. Okay.
Yep. So
All right,
Francisco, good. Nacho, Pedro, and Yordan
Nacho
Alvarez.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty great, huh? All right.
That's awesome.
Next one. Ace for the Mariners. Player given one of the worst contracts ever, and famous dropped pop-up in the World Series.
Oh, is this Castillo?
It is Castillo.
So it's Luis Castillo. The bottom one is also Luis Castillo, isn't it? The second baseman, Luis Castillo.
Yep.
One of the worst contracts ever. Vinny? No, that wasn't Castillo.
Come on. For our Red Sox.
Oh, Rusney.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So Luis Castillo, Rusney Castillo, and Luis Castillo.
That Luis Castillo pop-up is still like, I still see clips of that every so often. It's just horrifying to watch him just get like all spun around and dump it.
Yeah. And then looked like he was camped under it at the last second and just
that was a nightmare. That was a nightmare play.
Just muffed it.
Nightmare play. Okay.
Massive bat flip in the playoffs in 2015. Hard throwing closer recovering from Tommy John.
So it's Joey Bats is the massive bat flip, and then Felix is recovering from TJ.
Yes. So Jose,
that bat flip is Felix. So epic.
Yeah.
Like that is what put like bat flipping on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost put like the big reason why everybody bat flips now, but
probably still would have gotten it.
Yeah.
Because that bat flip is so epic.
It's still one of my favorite Christmas shirts I've ever had. It's Mary flipping Christmas, and it's Jose Bautista flipping the bat. It's
a good one.
It's the best holiday one.
Classic.
All right. Mostly known for time in Tampa and San Francisco. The starting pitcher that pitched for the Guardians in the playoffs. And then the second one is holds the record for most career batting titles.
Oh, interesting. Pitch for the Guardians in the playoffs win.
This year, sorry.
Oh, okay, this year. And holds the record for most career batting titles. Who pitched for the Guardians pitching staff is a bunch of like unknown guys to me.
Yeah, but you definitely know this guy. Think more of the Rays. You saw him a lot. Well, who has the record for most career batting titles? Old guy.
Yeah, it wasn't Ted.
No, before him.
Oh, it's it's Alex Cobb and Ty Cobb.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. I was like, this pitcher I'm struggling with, but I know I'll figure it out. Yeah, Alex Cobb and Ty Cobb.
Alex and Ty Cobb. All right. Next one. Most errors in 2024. Traded from Marlins to Pirates at the deadline in 2024.
So this will be Ellie De La Cruz and Brian De La Cruz, or
yes,
is it Brian or Brayon? How do you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got it. I'm pretty sure it's Brian, but I've been wrong before.
It's fine.
Yeah, Ellie and Brian De La Cruz. All right. Mr. NL West, most career pitching wins as an Angel.
So it's Finley, right? Steve Finley and Chuck Finley?
Yes, sir. There you go. Back on the roll here.
There we go.
All right.
Freaking Steve Finley, Mr. NL West.
He played for every single team in the NL West.
He did. And he was good everywhere.
Yeah, crazy. All right. Pitcher for Athletics and Yankees. Robbed Bonds of a home run in the All-Star game. Pitcher from 08 to 23 for Texas, Baltimore, Chicago Cubs, Cleveland, Baltimore, Rays, Phillies, and Mets.
Is the All-Star home run robbery, is that Torrey Hunter?
It is.
So it's Catfish Hunter, Torrey Hunter. Who the hell is the pitcher? 08 to 23.
I really can't give you more clues than that.
I know. I am drawing a blank.
You would probably recognize him more from his time in Baltimore because just we saw him as Red Sox fans.
Right. Hunter.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Nobody's jumping out.
Tommy Hunter.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So Catfish, Torrey, and Tommy Hunter. Good. All right. Good luck with this one, buddy.
Love it.
Free agent this offseason playing 2024 as a Padre. Pitcher from 01 to 06 with Boston, Montreal, the Nationals, the Rockies, and the Reds. One-time All-Star reliever with a World Series championship in 01. Left fielder from 16 and 17 only for Baltimore and Philly.
Free agent offseason playing 20. So he's a Padre last year. So
yeah.
So this Profar is a free agent.
It's not Profar.
Who else is a free agent?
Said he would be an awesome piece for the Red Sox if they were able to.
Hae-Sung Kim.
Yes.
So it's Hae-Sung Kim, Byung-Hyun Kim.
Mm-hmm. This is just evil.
Time All-Star reliever with a World Series championship in 01.
That's... You said Byung-Hyun Kim.
Oh, sorry, BK Kim, right. So 01 to 06. Boston, Montreal, Washington, Colorado, Cincinnati. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, these two would be really hard. So yeah. This is what we got. Ha-Sung Kim, Sun Woo Kim, Byung-Hyun Kim, and Hyun-Soo Kim.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We could have been here all day. I wasn't getting Sun Woo or Hyun-Soo Kim. No. Not a shot.
No. Crazy. All right. Next one. Holds record for fastest pitch ever thrown 105.8 miles per hour. And the other one owns multiple platinum gloves.
So this will be Aroldis Chapman and Matt Chapman.
Yes, sir. All right.
Is Aroldis a free agent again?
No, probably.
I feel like he's a free agent. Like he's just living off 1-year deals.
Yeah. All right. Closer for the Reds, a really big pitcher and catcher for the Astros.
A really big pitcher and catcher for the Astros. So which catcher is it? So Maldonado's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So who was catching last year? A really big pitcher and a closer for the Reds. Oh God, what is his name?
He's got a brother in the league.
He sure does. And his name is. Oh wait, is that Edwin Diaz's brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it Alexis?
Yeah. I'll take Alexi or Alexis.
So it's Diaz. So Alexis Diaz, a really big pitcher and a catcher for the Astros. Who is the catcher for the Astros?
Starts with a Y.
Yandy?
Really close. It's Yanyer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's some of these names, man.
And then
who's the big pitcher?
So it's in quotes because his name was Jumbo Diaz. Yeah.
Jumbo Diaz.
Yeah. So yeah, Alexis, Jumbo, and Yiner Diaz.
So, oh, Yiner Diaz. Yeah, Yandy. I mean, there's so many of these guys that their names are so familiar.
I mean,
So
Yandy
close.
Diaz would have been a good one to put in there. Because he led the league in hitting.
Would have been better than Jumbo Diaz for the record there, Nick.
No way. Anytime I could put Jumbo Diaz in a trivia question, I'm going to do it.
Pitcher. Who are we talking about?
All right. Next one. Center fielder DFA'd by Yankees only to be picked up by Baltimore. Type 1 diabetic that made move from bullpen to the rotation after changing teams.
The sad part is I think I know the second one first because you continually mention him. So I think number 1 is Aaron Hicks and number 2 is Jordan Hicks.
Yes, sir. Nice work.
You sugar daddies all stick together.
That's right. All right.
And Aaron Hicks was actually really good for Baltimore.
Yeah, he was. It was crazy.
It's like getting out of New York was a much needed change of scenery.
Yep. All right. 3-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, 2-time Silver Slugger outfield. Holds record for most RBIs before the All-Star break. Most home runs in a single season for the D-backs. Utility player for the Astros from 12 to 18. Finished his career with the Yankees in 22.
Okay, so this has got to be Gonzalez.
Yes,
so it's got to be. So number 2 is Juan Gonzalez, most RBIs.
Yep.
Most home runs is Luis.
Yep.
Is the first one Carlos Gonzalez?
It is. Nice job.
Okay. And last one, who's the utility player?
So in between the Astros and Yankees, he also played for the Twins and the Red Sox.
Alex Gonzalez?
Not Alex. I think you kind of forget that he went to Boston for a little bit here.
Probably.
It is Marwin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was actually pretty good for the Red Sox. They just didn't really have a place for him.
Yep. All right. This next one's pretty funny, but we'll get there. All right. Holds record for longest postseason hitting streak. Suspended 80 games for PEDs while with the Pirates. Suspended 80 games for PEDs while with the Reds.
Oh, God. Is this a Marte?
It is a Marte, yes.
So is it Noelvi Marte is the last one?
Yep.
Pirates. Who got suspended with the Pirates?
He is currently playing today, but for a different team.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who that was. Starling Marte?
Yes, sir.
And longest postseason hitting streak.
It's my boy. It's my boy on my second favorite team.
Oh, finally, is it Cattell?
Yeah, it is. Cattell, Starling, and Noelvi. Yeah, Cattell's got a 20-game hitting streak, which is now the record.
Wow,
in the postseason. Yep, to start his career, 20-game.
That's pretty good. So he likes the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's my favorite player in the league right now to watch.
He's so fun to watch. I mean, just pure energy, nothing, and tons of talent.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right, and the last one I got for tonight. Played for 23 years until the age of 48. Former closer for the Mets and current third baseman for the Royals.
"23 years until 40. Is that Huff?
Nope. Position player.
Not Ricky.
No.
Till 48.
I mean, another famous old guy that played forever. We watched him play.
feel like Nelson Cruz falls into that bucket. Let's see. So we've got.
I'm giving it away.
He looked like Euclid doing that.
Well, even more over the head.
Oh, Julio Franco.
Yeah, Franco. Yes.
There we go. So Julio Franco, John Franco. Who's the third baseman?
Come on, Mr. Royals.
Wasn't Garcia playing third base for them?
Oh, you're right. I think I have the team wrong. I think he played for the Royals at one point, so he's not the current. You're right. Is it Michael Garcia is playing third for them? So I got it wrong. Maikel Franco.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a second.
So we just won't put that one on a reel. My bad.
Oh no, we're gonna put it anyways. Can just mess with people.
Well, that's true. So he's not the current one, but it's another Maikel. But
Okay.
he came up with the Phillies first, though, right? Maikel Franco. I think he did.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. That's the first name that pops up. I think he is now on the Nationals. He hasn't been on the Royals since 2020. Whoops. My bad.
It's fine. We'll just mess with people. This will be a fun one.
Yeah.
Because I was like third baseman. I'm like, Garcia played
Maikel
third
Garcia.
base most of the time.
It was the first name. I got hooked on the first name, and I was like, there isn't another Maikel.
You don't see that spelling of Maikel very often.
Right. That's why I was like, oh yeah, he's the current third baseman for the Royals, and I didn't fact check, and that's what you get. So you're welcome.
I'm like, there's not a Franco I can think of.
All right. Anyways, moving on. That was my last one. So great one to end on. And I'm done.
We keep it interesting, folks. You never know what you're going to get here.
Goodness gracious.
Nick loves to throw those like random, not true facts in there just to mess with me to make sure I'm on my game.
Yeah. Well, we got to bring it because tomorrow is going to be a nice wake-up call for both of us. So.
Oh, yeah. We better get studying tonight. Grab your Bill James handbook and get studying.
Yeah, for sure. But all right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Just one thing I shared with you earlier was that David Bell, the former manager of the Cincinnati Reds, who got fired kind of weirdly with the week to go in the season, is actually joining the Toronto Blue Jays front office in a player development role, which is funny because the Reds don't think he can develop players, but he's going to go do player development for the Blue Jays. I don't know. I think that's a great pickup for the Blue Jays in their front office. David Bell's a great baseball guy. He's done a good job with a young team. I think the Blue Jays are realizing the fact they've got some deficiencies in player development, which I do think you've seen some issues there.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good pickup for them.
Yeah. Blue Jays have got to do something.
Again, like we've talked about with these other teams, like you've got to get up in the morning and decide to do things different. You can't just keep running back the same thing that isn't working.
Do you think
the Blue Jays are finally realizing that?
Do you think if they have an unsuccessful offseason, meaning they don't bring in any free agents, do you think they trade Guerrero? Because they threatened to do it at the trade deadline last year. Do you think they try to ship Guerrero out and just start over?
If I'm the Blue Jays and I can't attract a couple of these big ticket free agents, then yes, I think I'm going to be forced to rebuild. And I think at that point, I look at moving Guerrero, who's got the highest trade value. I plan to build around Bichette. I would rather build around Guerrero because he's proven to be the more consistent guy, but Bichette has huge upside.
He has health issues though.
He
the
does.
last couple of years he's been hurt.
But because of that, he's not going to return you as much as Guerrero. So you may be forced to trade Guerrero. Maybe you trade them both. I don't know. Yeah. But if you can't bring a couple of big ticket free agents in, I think the Blue Jays are going to have to face reality of it's time to tear it down.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I agree. I think that's the direction they're going to have to head.
Yeah.
But I do think they have the money, and I think they're attractive enough a destination to draw in some names. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Vlad Guerrero in Boston. And I mean, if I'm the Yankees, what do you want? Like, he'll fill my first place hole forever.
They won't trade within the division though.
I know it's annoying, but
it's not the Orioles.
But that that would be a great move for a team like the Cardinals to make, to go fill the hole for Goldschmidt. He would love St. Louis. Vladdy's a baseball savant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think moving him's got the best return of the bunch.
I agree. Maybe he follows his dad's footsteps and the Angels put a package together and he goes to Anaheim.
Could you imagine a lineup with Soler, Darno, Vladdy, and a healthy Trout? I mean, that team goes from like joke to legitimate contender fast.
Yeah.
With some pitching. You need to go get a couple pitchers. But you bring a guy like that in, pitchers will come.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. So like I said at the beginning of the show, Harrison and I are appearing on the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast tomorrow. It's an audio-only podcast. These guys are crazy knowledgeable. It's going to be a little bit more in our wheelhouse, focused towards just baseball because we're coming on. But there are other episodes that they have that they cover all sports equally. And they are insane. Like the stuff that they can come up with. They are true trivia masters. Like it's insane. So we're excited. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little intimidated.
Yep.
But either way, it's going to be a blast to go get the floor mopped with us tomorrow. So it will be out in a couple of weeks after we record it. I'll let you all know when that does come out. But yeah, excited to do that tomorrow. And then, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're now affiliated with Dick's Sporting Goods, Lids, and MLB Shop. You can find all of that information on our social medias. You can click the link and you can do your shopping right through that. And we get a kickback from whatever you buy through our links. So it would be very much appreciated to show us support without us coming out and asking you directly for money, like Harrison said.
Yeah.
So this is a great way to support us and get your Christmas shopping done at the same time.
Yeah. Black Friday is coming. Sales are happening. Dick's Sporting Goods running 50% off deals. Click our links, go do some shopping, support the podcast, no cost to you. These are big brands that are appreciating what we do, and we appreciate everybody's support.
So, all right. And before you go, just make sure that you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow on Instagram. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for everybody that commented during the show. We love the interactions. Keep it up. We will be back next Monday.